Hi, hello, and welcome to the channel. I'm Lady Celine, and today we are getting back to Chapter 4 of Chaos Head Noah. So we left off on a little bit of a cliffhanger last time. So earlier on in the episode, we had our encounter on the train with Senna. We learned about this VR, this visual rebuilding technology that's being researched and experimented with. Basically allows a user to implant images and experiences basically into someone else's brain. Um, Make them think they experienced something that they didn't. It's basically like a forced hallucination. And so obviously, this can be used for evil. This can be used for nefarious reasons. Um, Honestly, I just a light prediction that I have. I think that it's that some government agency is experimenting with this technology on Shibuya. Um, they're fucking shit up. They're probably the cause of the earthquake. They're probably the cause of this new gen madness, these crimes. I think are probably an outcome of some of this experimenting, maybe getting a little out of hand. Um, but the cliffhanger I was talking about is that we were accosted by Yua. So Yua confronted us again in the cafe. She came to us with her belief that, we are the singular, I guess, new gen killer, or at least, related in some way. She's like, you have multiple personalities, you're committing all these crimes, you need to turn yourself over, this kind of shit. And we are on the run. Takumi ran as fast as he could out the door, and that's it. So, I don't know. Do you think that Yua called the cops? Like, how fucked are we right now? Well, let's find out. I nearly tumbled out of the elevator as I burst outside. The sun was already setting. I examined my surroundings. There were people everywhere. Run. It doesn't matter where, just run. My base wasn't safe. She was following me. I had no idea where to even go, but I started running anyway. Thinking that Yua might get off another elevator at any moment now, that she might threaten me again in that ice-cold voice of hers, I didn't want to stay there for even a second longer. I looked behind me over and over again, but I kept on running regardless of what I saw. The pedestrians were all in the way. I bumped into a businessman and a DQN-esque high school girl. When that happened, I was showered with curses. But I still didn't stop. I just kept on running. Oh, this is new scenery. Okay. It hurt to breathe. I'd picked some random-ass road without thinking, and I still had no idea where I was running. Yeah, I don't think we're familiar with this place. I hope maybe he runs into, like, I don't know, Rimi or Senna. Maybe they can be a nice calming presence. Help him chill out a bit. I stopped to catch my breath. I checked the scenery around where I was standing. It was in front of Maruichi, which meant I could take shelter in Miyashita Park. I would take a quick break there, then I would run somewhere farther away. If I went to Yoyogi Park, there would be plenty of places to hide, so I could spend the night there. I couldn't help but wonder what was behind me. I didn't see any signs of Yua. However, I wouldn't be surprised if she appeared in front of me at any second now, complete with the most terrifying, demonic expression I had ever encountered. My instincts screamed at me. Run! You need to run! Didn't we learn our lesson about dark alleys the last time? Exhausted, I weakly sat down on the pavement of the Miyashita Park overpass. I'd run way too much. My throat was dying. I wanted to drink a nice ice-cold cola. But I didn't see any vending machines nearby. Maybe I was okay now that I had come this far. No, I couldn't be careless. I still had to be fully aware of my surroundings. There should only be a few people in Miyashita Park at night, or at least that was what I expected, but much to my surprise, that wasn't the case. Yeah, I'm trying to read what that little sign says. I think it says, "The Great King of Terror has," ooh, could be like a C, an O, a D, something, "this city." Okay, okay. I don't know if that means anything. I don't know if maybe that's going to come back later. I just wanted to take note of it. There was a businessman walking briskly through the park, likely using it as a shortcut, an older man sitting on a bench messing with his cell phone, several homeless people sitting around absent-mindedly, and lastly, a person wearing blue talking to one of them, a police officer. Um, I want him to feel safe. I want him to chill out, even if we're around the police. Like, I kind of feel bad now that I realize that I've been pushing him into being paranoid, so I gulped audibly. I remembered that I'd been questioned by a pair of detectives a while ago. I hadn't heard a single thing from them since. They'd said they were going to guard the area surrounding my base, but there was no sign of them following through on it. Oh, trust me, they're probably surrounding your base, maybe loosely, but they're coming around, man. Although, according to Misumi-kun, they'd apparently come to investigate Suime. Those two detectives, what were their names again? I couldn't remember. I'd told both of them the truth about what I'd witnessed at the scene of the crucifixion, but in hindsight, I couldn't help but think that they'd clearly been looking at me with suspicion as I did. Right as I thought that, the policeman who had been talking to the homeless man glanced at me, or at least that was how it felt. No, I had to be imagining things. There was no way the police would suspect me of anything. I wasn't a murderer. I wouldn't hurt a fly. Forget that for now. I'd just take a break for a little bit longer. My chest still hadn't stopped pounding. For no particular reason, I looked up at the night sky as my shallow breathing continued. I couldn't see any stars. The glaring artificial light that shone above the ground cast a thin veil across the Shibuya sky. It blocked out even the faintest light of the stars that had traveled for decades, for centuries to get here, transforming the night sky into a flat, emotionless blackness. What a piece of shit sky. But that was normal for Shibuya. For someone living in Shibuya, this sky was my sky. I returned my gaze to the policeman from earlier, and I jumped. Is it him? Is it him? Is it him? Oh! The policeman was coming toward me. I had to avoid making eye contact. I stood up and turned my eyes to the road stretching under the overpass. The footsteps were getting closer and closer. I prayed from the bottom of my heart that they would pass by me. But...
Gimme.
Excuse me. A voice called out, one that was clearly directed at me.
ちょっといいか?
Could I have a moment? My heartbeat, which had only just started to calm down, began to violently pound in my chest once more.
すいません。急いでるんで。
Sorry, I'm in a hurry.
そうは見えないな。
Can't say it looks like it. What reason could this cop have possibly had for talking to me? I started putting a list together inside my head. 1, because I'm alone at night in an unusual place. That's true. You're a teen. Like, he's probably, I don't know, maybe if you're a runaway or if you do need help. I feel like that one's the most likely. 2, because I look suspicious. 3, because they're just questioning people at random. 4 because the police think I'm a suspect for the new Gen case.
身分を証明するもの。そうだな。
Do you have any ID on you? Oh, I know. You have a student handbook, don't you? You mind showing it to me? Damn it, I didn't have time for this. I needed to hurry up and hide somewhere less conspicuous. If I didn't, Yua would find me again. But if I ran away from the cops, I could get arrested for obstruction of justice. Not only that, but if they were investigating me because of reason number 4, then bolting would put me in an even worse position. Regardless of the circumstances, I had to get past this cop, and I had to do it fast. Quickest way out is through, man. Just comply. With no other options, I took my student handbook out from inside my uniform pocket and handed it to the officer. The officer took it and flipped it open to check my name and photo. Immediately after, something changed in his face. His expression stiffened. What? What was up with him? Oh, he probably knows the name. He might recognize the name. Did my name really warrant that kind of reaction? Oh yeah, man. Maybe I really am a new gen suspect. The police were mistaken. I hadn't done anything. Yua made up her mind and decided that I was the new gen criminal. She said I just wasn't aware of it. That couldn't be true. I didn't sleepwalk. I didn't have multiple personalities. Nah, brah, sorry, you already admitted to sleepwalking. Stop screwing with my head. Thank you for your time. To my surprise, the policeman readily returned my handbook to me. Then he quickly turned back around and headed toward the park, almost as if running away. How he was acting spoke far louder than words. I had a terrible feeling about this. Did they actually suspect me? I stared at the officer's back, frozen. Damn it, I thought picking the good option would help him be, less suspicious of the cop and maybe, a little more at ease and not act suspicious in front of the cop. Ugh. Then the policeman suddenly gave a light bow to the man sitting on the bench, or at least that was what it looked like. Something's off. Was it just my imagination? I knew for a fact that he'd looked at the man on the bench, but I couldn't figure out if he'd actually bowed to him or if it just looked like he had. The policeman left the park directly after that. The man on the bench looked like he was still messing with his cell phone. Looked like being the key words. Ooh, is it Bond? Is it Bond? Maybe he's undercover. He's, dressed like a civilian or something. It didn't even look like his fingers were moving. I couldn't see him clearly because of the darkness. Normally, the cell phone screen would be glowing, but the one he was holding was completely dark. Something's really off here. I looked around to check on everyone else in the park. One of the homeless people was slouching on the ground at the base of a large tree, a spot that was far removed from the others. He didn't move in the slightest. All he did was hold up a strange sign, his face staring down on the ground. The 3 or so homeless people squatting in front of the small hut covered by a blue tarp didn't seem to be having much of a conversation. They were just sitting around in a circle. One of them had their hand over their mouth, maybe smoking? It almost seemed like they were doing it deliberately, like they were trying to cover their mouth with their hand and collar or something. Or at least, that was what it looked like. I don't know why exactly, but something feels off. There was a strange sense of tension seizing the air. Granted, it could have just been my imagination, but... Hold on. Was it possible that everyone was an undercover cop? That delusion floated to the top of my head, and I shuddered. I frantically told myself that it was nothing more than that, a delusion. But even if it was, I didn't want to stay here any longer. Time to run. I broke into a sprint. I mean, I guess it makes sense since the cops ran away. Like, if anything, now would be the time to run away. I ran across the overpass and headed for the stairs leading down to Meiji Dori. I stopped right in front of them and whipped around to look behind me. The man on the bench was getting up. None of the other people moved. His body turned toward me, but his head was facing sideways. He was making his way toward me. He seemed to be walking a little faster than someone normally would. He was chasing me. That man was a detective. His build was unusually bulky. I didn't even know what his job could be otherwise. I couldn't figure anything out from his appearance alone. I can't tell if he's a detective just from that. No, he had to be one. There was no way he wasn't one. He was tailing me. I couldn't stay here. I bolted down the stairs. Shit. Now, it wasn't just Yua that was after me, but the police, too? And I hadn't done anything wrong. I hadn't done anything at all. Should I just tell them I was innocent? But even if I did, I couldn't get away from the fact that I was literally running away from the police right now. Dude, I don't know how they would take someone walking up and saying, "Hey, I'm actually innocent of this crime that no one brought up in particular, but just letting you know, hey, I didn't do that thing. You can cross me off your suspect list," and they'll trust that for sure. Besides, I was sure that the police would find some way to pin it on me regardless. They would never believe an otaku freak like me. I didn't have time to think about what would happen next. For now, I just needed to get away from Yua and the police. That was the sole thought occupying my mind. I passed under a pedestrian overpass and ran up the stairs leading to it. There were people everywhere. All of them were blocking my path. It felt as if each and every one of them were deliberately getting in my way, like they all had some form of malicious intent. Yeah, it would feel that way when you're on the verge of psychosis here. Everyone looked like they could be cops. I was this close to completely panicking. Oh! I looked behind me and saw someone sprinting after me. I caught a glimpse of the person cutting through the crowd just like I was. It was one of the people I'd seen in the park. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know who it was. It didn't matter. They were following me regardless. I was horrified. If I got caught, my life would be over. I would be falsely accused of a crime I didn't commit, sentenced to death, locked up in a high-security prison for decades and decades, and then right after I finished enduring that living hell, I would finally be told, "Alrighty then, your number's up. Time for you to die." I didn't want that. I wouldn't be able to handle that. I didn't want to live like that. Even if I somehow managed to prove that it was a false accusation, once I was branded as a criminal, it would never go away. Everyone around me would look at me suspiciously for the rest of my life. I mean, he's right, both about, like, waiting decades on death row and people looking at you differently after being accused of a crime. I didn't want that. I hadn't even done anything. It's gigantes. I turned onto a small street that was completely deserted and kept running as hard as I could. But I had been running ever since I'd left at Cafe, and I still hadn't been able to catch my breath. My lungs were begging for oxygen. My legs were shaking with fatigue. I hated myself for not exercising more, but it was too late for that regardless. Finally, I couldn't run anymore. so I doubled over and gripped my knees with my hands. The place where I'd stopped looked familiar. The distinctive red brick walls, paired with the gigantic backlit sign that read Gigantes. I'd been here before, with Misumi-kun. We'd come to see a Phantasm concert, or, to be more specific, to see their lead singer FES. But now the place was quiet and empty, with the only other light being from the vending machine dimly illuminating my surroundings. Hey man, you got a couple bucks? Get yourself some cola and a water. Frustrated that my breathing still hadn't gone back to normal, I looked back toward the road I had sprinted down. The street was dimly lit and narrow. As the Toyoko Line train slowly passed by directly above me, despite the striking glow of the light leaking from the windows of the train, it didn't even reach the street below. I stared at the road in front of me. I wondered if I had managed to lose them being Yua and the police. It was too dark for me to tell for sure. Come with me. Who is it? I mean, maybe FES, because we're at Gigantes? I didn't quite hear the voice. Suddenly, I heard a woman's voice in my ear, and I let out a pathetic scream before toppling to the ground. Hey! It was FES, dressed in a flashy outfit that she would wear to a concert. As she quietly looked down at me from the darkness, the eruptive energy that she'd given off when she was on stage was now completely absent, making her appear almost transient, like she might disappear at any moment. Because of the darkness, I couldn't see her expression. As my mind wandered in surprise, FES gently held out her hand to me. Stand up, quickly. Her tone of voice was dispassionate, but I could tell that she wasn't going to let me argue with her. Still holding out her hand, FES slowly craned her neck, then narrowed her eyes as if she'd seen through the darkness. We need to run. Why? Did she know that I'd been running from Yua and the police? I was freaked out for a second, but I knew that right now, salvation was almost within my grasp. That was why, as if I was clinging to my only hope left, I took her hand. Her hand was cold to the touch. Right as I stood up, FES started running. As I was already utterly exhausted, I felt incredible resentment, but I knew that if it hadn't been for FES, I would have never been able to stand up again, and the police would have likely caught up with me. I still wanted to quench my dying thirst in some way, but I knew I couldn't afford to. FES pulled me by the hand and led us forward. We entered a narrow alleyway and made turn after turn at various intersections. I had no idea where I was running to. I wasn't even familiar with the layout of Shibuya, so I had no choice but to follow FES the entire time. I nearly entertained the idea that this could be another trap set by Shogun, but I shook the thought from my head. Even if FES was another one of Shogun's underlings, there would be nothing I could do about it. My legs were heavy with lactic acid, and I was starting to feel lightheaded, probably because my brain hadn't been getting enough oxygen due to all the running. I was this close to crying out and saying that I couldn't run anymore. In fact, I may or may not have said it several times unconsciously. But even so, FES never once looked back at me. She just kept on going. Before I knew it, I found myself on a road where the Shuto Expressway ran overhead. Shibuya Station was only a little bit farther away, but there were barely any people around. Without a shred of hesitation, FES started to head down the stairs that led into the gaping maw of the underground. Did they have subways? Like underground trains? Upon reaching the bottom of the stairs, she finally came to a stop. I let go of Fess's hand and doubled over on the stairs, gasping for breath. I wondered how much running I had done today. Bro, probably more than your entire life so far combined. I don't think I'd ever exercised so much in my entire life. See, she's struggling too. It's okay. We can share that. For a while, the only sounds present in the dim, dreary underground tunnel were the sounds of me and Fess breathing. I looked up at the entrance where we had just come down from, but there was no sign of our pursuers. I guess that means we'd managed to escape somehow. That aside, this was my first time learning that this underground passage even existed. On top of that, even though it was fairly close to the station, there wasn't a single person passing through it. One of the fluorescent lights that illuminated the tunnel was on its last legs, flickering on and off without end. There was the faint smell of rotting garbage in the air. It was a place that symbolized the underground side of Shibuya. If someone were to attack me here, even if I screamed as loud as I could, it might not even reach the outside. This was not a place I would ever want to come alone to. Alright, let's keep it posy. Let's do a positive episode today. Still breathing heavily, I slowly examined Fess's profile. She was a charismatic songstress who captivated the youth of Shibuya. People even called her a prophet. And now that very same Fess was here alone with an otaku freak piece of shit like me. I wasn't sure what to make of it. Her forehead was beading with sweat, with several drops running down her cheeks. She was wiping it off with the back of her hand. Her breasts, exposed through her camisole, rose and fell with every breath she took. A glimpse providing healthy eroticism in an atmosphere flowing with ennui. You know what? Okay, I changed my mind. Fuck you, dude. You're getting the bad place. Moe just didn't do it justice. The best and only possible word befitting of her was erotic. Yeah, no, go fuck yourself, man. As Misumi-kun had said before, Fess really did have a great body, huh? When she was wearing her school uniform, it wasn't really all that noticeable, but when she wore tight clothes like this camisole, it came across very well. She was tall, had moderately sized breasts, and an extremely curvy waist. And most important of all, her legs that were sticking out of her miniskirt. They were long, slender, and well-toned. She looked like a model. I was sure a girl with a body this good would look great in a swimsuit. No, wait just a second here. I hadn't considered it until now, but a school swimsuit might work well too. Yeah, isn't that your whole thing? The always chill Fess, wearing a school swimsuit. And that thigh gap was almost too much for me. Wait, what kind of stupid shit was I thinking about? Did I forget the situation I was in? You were being pursued, were you not? Yeah? By the police? I nodded in response. It wasn't just the police. Yua was following me too, but I was too exhausted to tell her that. I am the same. Huh? What was that supposed to mean? They asked me if there was a connection between the lyrics I wrote and some incident that I cannot recall the name of. They were very insistent. New Gen. The lyrics that Fess had written matched up with that string of incidents. That was why all her sheep wouldn't shut up with all the rumors. They'd been saying that she was a prophet. It seems that they suspect me. As the new gen criminal? I thought the same thing back when I first heard her lyrics. Hell, I even thought that Fess herself was Shogun. but considering the fact that she'd saved me, she probably wasn't. Putting all that aside, I wondered why Fess was even there. Her saving me must have been just a coincidence. Yeah, it had to be. I mean, I'd been right in front of the concert venue, so there was probably just another concert today.
君が追われてるのはなぜ
You were being pursued as well. Why?
何か悪いことでもしたの
Did you do something wrong?
作られた
She told the police. Huh?
あの女僕のこと
That girl,
だんだ
she told the police that I'm...
ニュージェネ犯人にされて
She's making me out to be the new gen criminal. Yua was trying to set me up. God damn it. Shogun and that girl were going to ruin my life.
そう
I see.
容疑者候補ね
So we are both potential suspects then. Why was she laughing?
僕
I'm innocent. I yelled out frantically. My voice reverberated loudly throughout the underpass, but I couldn't stop now.
事件を目撃
I was just a witness. I just took some evidence back home with me without thinking. That's all.
僕殺してない
I didn't kill anyone.
それなら
Then Fess whispered, returning to her original dispassionate voice.
きっとそれは導きなの
It must be the guidance
大いなる存在による
of a higher power. What? Okay. What? Another fucking mental case? Another goddamn Chunibya?
君の見たものが
Whether or not what you saw was real or an illusion is inconsequential. What? That horrible scene. Was there any possibility that it had all been just an illusion? But it had all felt so real.
君が今抱いている
The pain and anger that you are harboring now.
必要なものだったという
It is all necessary. Well, she seems happy. Looks like things are going her way, I guess. What was she saying? I was utterly dejected. I had been slightly suspicious back at the concert, and I turned out to be right. Fess really was a total schizo freak. They say that there's a fine line between genius and insanity, but this is pushing it. That is why you must find it. Quickly. Oh, the real D-sword, I'm sure. Find your sword. Oh, that makes sense. This chapter's called D-sword. Maybe we'll get to see the real thing. I was taken aback. That was what Fess had told me back when we'd met at school. If you do, you'll be granted salvation. She'd said this before. Aside from the police, what scared me the most was Shogun and his underlings. I had no idea why, but they were all trying to trap me, and they all clearly had malicious intent. In order to save myself from them, in order to protect myself, I needed
ディソード
a D-sword?
そうよ
Yes. Fess's lips twisted into the shape of a smile.
勉強したみたいね
You've been studying, it seems.
それなら手に入れた
If that's what you mean, then I already got one.
僕はディソードを持って
I have a D-sword.
今家に
It's back in my house.
知ってるわ
I know. She knew? How did she know?
見たから
I saw.
君が渋谷のど真ん中
You were walking directly in the middle of Shibuya.
大きなおもちゃを抱きしめて
You were gripping a large toy, and you looked fairly embarrassed. Was she talking about the day I'd bought the D-sword? Oh, Fess had seen me. Fuck my life. Wait a minute. What did she just said?
おもちゃ
A toy? The smile had already disappeared from Fess's face. She glanced at my face and let out a small sigh. Her sense of ennui, her aloofness was so pure it made me feel uneasy.
偽物
The sword you bought
あなたの買った剣
is a fake. Yeah, we knew that. I wasn't even that surprised. I'd expected it to, honestly. The sword I bought was way too cheap compared to the one Senna had. It didn't even glow. Doesn't even do anything cool. Besides, the idea that a sword that would supposedly bring me salvation was being sold for 10,000 yen alongside sex toys was the least anime thing possible. So yeah, I wasn't surprised. Instead, I felt a furious surge of anger well up inside me. Anger at the gloomy shopkeeper who'd tricked me. Anger at myself for being so pathetic that I'd be tricked that easily. Anger at FES for saying nothing meaningful in the slightest instead of just giving me a straight answer. Yeah, just tell me how to get one, please, or at least, like, give me a hint. I don't have any kind of direction, man. Fine! I stood up and moved closer to FES. Normally, I would have never done something like that, but I was desperate. I'd been being chased by Yua and the police only a few moments ago, and I was absolutely terrified. Not only that, but in the past month or so, I'd experienced countless bad thoughts. It was all too much for me. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to get my hands on a sword so I could get back to my peaceful way of life.
教えてよ
Tell me!
理想の
How do I get my hands on a D-sword? Fess's expression stiffened, and then she turned to me.
見て
Watch. Ooh, okay. She suddenly thrust the palm of her hand right out in front of me. Stopping me from coming any closer, Fess curled her right hand into a fist. And upon swinging her hand behind her in a motion resembling a back fist, together with a sound akin to that of glass breaking, the empty space cracked, and then it shattered. My eyes went wide. I was speechless. Fess stared at me. Her expression had not changed in the slightest. Within the cracks of the shattered space was a deep darkness spreading wide. With her hand buried between the fissures, Fess pulled her hand back toward her with a tremendous force. Nice. All right. Oh, that's pretty cool. Hell yeah. Okay. And now, within that hand, was a giant sword. A D-sword! The fissures in the empty space were repaired in an instant. The cracks disappeared as if nothing had even happened. It had all happened in the span of just a few seconds. Oh! Had that been a magic trick? Or was what I was seeing just a delusion? It was far too removed from reality. I couldn't believe what had just happened right in front of me. This was a fantasy anime.
この剣は命運を握るもの
This sword is that which bends fate to its will. Okay, what does that mean, please? That sword. It was the same one she'd been wielding at the concert. The same one I'd mistaken for a microphone stand. Its shape almost looked like a battleship ripped straight from a sci-fi anime.
この剣は嘆きを収束させたもの
This sword is that which converges all sorrows. There were no straight lines to be found on it, and yet it appeared incredibly sharp, incredibly beautiful, incredibly sinister.
この剣は超越した場所に干渉する
This
ための
sword is that which interferes with the transcendental place, and that if you so much as touched it, your fingers would be severed from the bone.
超越した場所って
Wait, what do you mean, transcendental place? I was mesmerized. Her D-sword utterly captivated me. Which was why I'd asked her that without thinking. Man, why is yours so cool? I expect him to be asking that. It is akin to another space. Oh boy, info dump time. This was definitely an anime at this
同
point.
一次元上にある
Another possibility within the same dimension.
あるいは
Or perhaps a delusion. A delusion?
言い方にあまり意味はない
Stating it that way does not provide much in the way of meaning.
唯一確かな
The sole thing we can know for certain, however,
この剣もその
is
領
that
域
this
に
sword
存在してい
exists
る
within that region. So, in other words, she was saying that her D sword was a product of her delusions? Did that mean that the supernatural phenomena I'd seen before had also been delusions? Had they not been real?
そんなの
That's impossible.
そう
Oh? If it was a delusion, then why was I seeing Fess's sword right now?
言葉に引きずられてはダ
Do
メ
not be led astray by words.
後ろを振り返ってみて
Try turning around. I was baffled by Fess's request, but I complied anyway. Behind me was a flight of stairs, and on those stairs... Whoa, okay. Was Fess wearing only a school swimsuit.
あー
What? Fess was standing right beside me. Fess was also standing on the stairs right in front of me. Two of the same person in the same place. And not only that, but one of them was wearing a school swimsuit. I couldn't hide my boner. Completely and utterly frustrated, I relentlessly snapped back and forth between the two Fesses over and over again, comparing them. They were exactly the same, right down to their facial features, height, and hairstyles. The only differences were their clothes and whether or not they were carrying a sword. They weren't twins or anything like that, and they didn't just look alike. They're giving off the same aura or vibe, maybe. They were one and the same. I was used to seeing girls in school swimsuits in eroge, but here I couldn't handle it for some reason. Fess was standing in the middle of this disgusting underpass in only a school swimsuit. And not only that, but there was a name tag on her chest with the name Kishimoto written on it with permanent marker. Oh yeah, for some reason he found that particularly sexy. I don't really remember why. Moe! I felt like I was about to lose my mind from how unbelievable this situation was. Even though I knew I shouldn't look at her, I couldn't help but feel like I was this close to stealing a glance anyway. It took a lot of willpower in order to keep my eyes down.
ごめん
I'm sorry. I really couldn't hide my boner this time. I automatically apologized. Because I know that only a few minutes ago, I'd had a delusion about this very thing. Fess wearing a school swimsuit.
君の
Hot, I guess. This is the delusion you wished for. The two Fesses said this at the same time, as if they could see right through me. I jumped, startled. I could feel my face rapidly turning red. I needed an excuse. I needed a way out of this. If a 3D girl labeled me as a pervert, it'd be over. I'd be socially obliterated. Okay, wait. While that may be important, the more pressing matter is, what the hell is happening? Honestly, I put so much emotion in that because I'm wondering the same goddamn thing. Hey, here's Bon. As he walked cautiously through the narrow, trash-ridden streets of Maru Yamacho, Bon Yasuji jammed one hand inside his pants pocket. Inside, he found a few dozen small coins.
先輩
Sir, what exactly are you expecting to find at the crucifixion crime scene?
もう事件から2週間以上経ってるし
It's already been more than 2 weeks since it happened. Don't you think it's been investigated well enough?
新しい証拠なんて出てきませんって
With all due respect, new evidence isn't just gonna pop out of thin air. His partner, Detective Suwa, had been walking behind him, grousing in an irritated voice for quite some time. That was understandable, of course, as the job originally assigned to them had been to tail an important witness for the new gen cases, Nishijo Takumi. However, the two of them had abandoned their tailing mission and had instead come to the scene of the third new gen incident, colloquially known as the crucifixion. Bon had decided to abandon their original task of tailing Nishijo Takumi, forcing the burden onto some other detective in the same jurisdiction. The rookie detective Suwa was not pleased by this. Come on, there's no way this will pan out. Let's just go back to tailing already. The rookie detective had consistently been pushed around by his senior without any explanation, and he could not stand it. Stand up for yourself, Suwa. For that reason, he had been insistently trying to persuade Bon for a long while now. But to this, Bon only said, quit your yapping and follow me. He remained aloof and refused to heed his junior's perfectly sound arguments. Finally, they at last came across a narrow road, blocked off by yellow barricade tape. Okay, so they do still have this area blocked off. That makes sense, because I was thinking, like, dude, I don't know what kind of... What do you call it when you, like, mess with a crime scene? Tampering. You don't know what kind of even unintentional tampering might have happened since in the last 2 weeks, basically. As Suwa let out the latest in his myriad of sighs, his cell phone began vibrating in his chest. He quickly took out his phone, which had been set to vibrate, assumed the look of a capable detective, and pressed the accept button. Suwa here. Yes. Yes. As he listened to Suwa's voice coming from behind him, Bon came to a stop in front of the barricade tape. Behind that tape was the crime scene. A deep darkness had settled over the area, just as it had when the crime had been committed. But now there were no remaining traces of the incident, save for the barricade tape. You lost him? A girl? Looks like they got us. Alright then, go ahead and head back to his house in Shinsen. Yes. Make sure to keep your eyes peeled. No, don't worry. Assistant Inspector Bon will take all the flack for you. He sure will. Bon smiled wryly upon hearing that. Suwa could be surprisingly shrewd. Of course, Bon had no intention of placing the blame onto his subordinates, nor onto the detective he had placed in charge. We'll join up with you as soon as we're done here. Really sorry about all this. Good luck. Right as Suwa hung up the phone and returned his begrudging gaze to Bon, Bon ducked under the tape. Suwa had no choice but to reluctantly accompany him. They lost him, eh? He figured out he was being tailed. Seems like there'd been some commotion at an internet cafe a bit before that. And the girl? Kishimoto Ayase. Ah, the little lady from the band that's been causing a whole host of trouble. What's the connection between them? They both go to the same school, same year even. Other than that, nothing in particular. They're not even classmates. Okay. Bon brought a hand to his chin, savoring the rough texture of his stubble for a moment. After which, he took out several coins from his pocket and started counting them in the dark, one by one. Suwa stared at his eccentric senior with a puzzled look on his face. What are you up to? Man, of course I can't find a 5-yen coin when I actually need one. Suwa, you have a 5-yen coin on you? Perplexed, Suwa took a 5-yen coin out from his wallet and held it out to Bon. However, instead of taking it straight away, Bon tore the bottom button off the shirt he was wearing. He then untied the thread fastened to the button. Okay.
ついに頭おかしくなった。
Sir, have you finally lost it?
生意気な口聞くようになったじゃねえ
You've
か。
got a real mouth on you, you know that? Bon chuckled and lightly whacked Sua on the head. He then took the thread and weaved it through the hole in the center of the coin. We doing some, like, dowsing or something? Alrighty then, I'll let you do the honors. After pinching both ends of the thread with his fingers, Bon let the 5-yen coin hang down and handed it to his junior.
フリコースか。
A pendulum? I'm guessing it had to be a 5-yen coin because maybe that's the only one with a hole in it. I don't know what Japanese money looks like. I don't know what yens look like. Mm-hmm. Bon smiled mischievously.
こいつが事件の重要な。
This little guy might give us an important clue for this case of ours.
マジっすか。
You're kidding!
バンさん。
Bon-san, could you spare me from your craziness for once?
仕事をほっぽって。
Is this why you abandoned your assignment to come here? Sua's tone was almost mournful. He had been pushed around countless times by Bon before now, but this time, Bon had finally managed to utterly stump the rookie detective.
サイキック捜査か。
Is this some kind of psychic investigation? Like dowsing or something?
その手のテレビでも見て影響を受けたんですね。
You've really been watching too much TV, sir.
そういうお前も詳しいじゃんだよ。
For the guy getting on my case, you sure seem well affiliated with this stuff.
いや、まあ自分で。
Well, yeah, I've checked out a few shows like that. Last week, there was one centered on Yuri Brightman. Yuri Brightman. He's the psychic detective from America. What I saw wasn't anything all that flashy. The program did have some esteemed college professor on it.
でもテレビっすよね。
But it was still on TV, yeah? You really like to pick apart every little thing, don't you? I get it, I can be a little nitpicky like that too. You'll get it once you actually give it a shot. Come on, let it hang down. When his senior issued that request, Sua did not have any room to refuse. His lips pursed in a sullen manner, but he reluctantly accepted the 5-yen coin. He pinched the ends of the string and began to twirl it around in a circle, creating centrifugal motion. It was too dark for either of them to see it clearly, so Bon flicked on a 100-yen cigarette lighter and used it as their light source.
先輩ってタバコ吸いましたっけ？
You smoke, sir?
10年以上前に禁煙したよ。
I quit smoking over 10 years ago. Why do you ask?
ライター持ってたっけ？
Well, you've got a lighter on you, so I just figured.
こういうこともあろうかと用意。
I was just prepared, that's all.
はは。
Right then, so what am I missing here?
もっといろいろ動かす。
Try moving it around a bit more, then try to stop it. Bon monitored the movement of the 5-yen coin intently. Bon's eyes were so intensely serious, Sua could no longer complain about this being a pointless excursion.
いや、
Just as I thought.
わかるか？
You get it now, Sua?
何だっす？
Get what?
五円玉の動きだよ。
The movement of the coin.
さっきから少しだけ楕円を。
Doesn't it feel like it's been forming an ellipse? Using the thread as support, the dangling 5-yen coin was slowly revolving around in a circular motion. Sua cocked his head.
力の入れ方。
It's not just because of how I'm swinging it or something?
お前、楕円に回るように。
Are you trying to make an ellipse?
いや、結構。
Well, no, I just kind of made it go around.
もっと手を動かさねえようにな。
Try not to move your hand as much.
はあ。
Okay. Sua consciously tried to move his hand in a circular fashion, but no matter how hard he tried, the trajectory drawn by the 5-yen coin was always elliptical in shape.
おかしいな。
This is real weird.
意識的に違う形にし。
Even if you try to force it to make a different shape, it won't let you, right? Bon's face was full of pride. Suwa, on the other hand, was still not convinced, and continued relentlessly in his quest to try and change the motion of the pendulum. Well, it's not like this phenomenon can be witnessed just anywhere in Shibuya. Even so, I've heard that there are about a dozen places where the same thing happens. Oh, okay, so it is picking up on some kind of energy here? I thought we were just getting like a typical physics lesson. Huh, this really is pretty out there. But what does this have to do with the case? Bon looked up in satisfaction, put his lighter back in his pocket, then retrieved the hand fan that he had stabbed between his belt and his pants. Do you know why Shibuya attracts so many youngins to it? What, because this 5-yen coin forms an ellipse? Suwa thought he was making a clever jab, but Bon nodded readily in response, calmly fanning his face all the while. Yep, you got it. And as much as I want to go back to FES and see what's going on with the D-Sword, I'm going to have to call it there for today. I don't know, sorry to the, 12 viewers from the last video and my 20-some subscribers, if that many. Sorry everybody for the long pause. If it matters to you, I should be getting back to a regular schedule this coming week. I hope there's someone out there that's looking forward to it. Whoever you are, thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. If you liked the video, please go ahead and give it a like. If you didn't, keep it to yourself, put it in the comments. I really don't care. And subscribe. Subscribe. It won't be that long until the next video, but then you'll get a notification when it comes out. So I hope to see you there. Thanks and bye!